Hello, this is an idea that I had just recently. Okay, so this is how to fix the educational system, part 5. I think it's part 5. And this is a pretty far out idea. It is, we should get rid of high school diplomas. It's a pretty far out idea. But I think the world is going to change so dramatically. It's changing. It's in the process of changing so dramatically that that we should just throw out all of these old systems and just bring in stuff that's completely different. The old way of education is from a bygone era of factory work, where we're trying to get people out of the fields, where they motivated themselves into getting them into the factory, where they had to, show up at a certain time really early in the morning every day and do the same task over and over and follow directions and stay focused on one task, And the educational system is based off of that, but we're not factory workers anymore. And even the way factories work are different, The shifts can be a lot more relaxed that way. And so we basically, want to teach people how to be self-motivated and how to be interested in a wide range of things instead of just, one thing and the thing that the people tell you to be interested in. And so I think the best thing to do is to get rid of high school diplomas completely, and make the criteria for these privately funded or these colleges, and that's another subject. I don't think universities should be funded by the government. I know that you'd have to change a lot of things about how that works, but I don't think universities should be funded by government at all. But and all the funding should be diverted into secondary education, which would then allow more people to get better education. Like everybody could get a perfect education that way. And so basically how it goes is I think, we should not have high school diplomas. Get rid of all of them so that schools, universities can accept people based on what they've accomplished in school, and they can show what they've accomplished in school through their website. And schools should basically be places where people can go until they're 18, or maybe even increase the age to 21 or 22, because that's how long people go to college anyway. And that way you can make university obsolete and turn university only into institutions where you learn very specific skills for a specific job. Because universities these days it's just a continuation of high school. You go in there and you graduate and you just in a degree that's not really going to make any money anyways, It's just high school was fun, let's continue high school, or I'm interested in that one thing, let's learn it at the school and pay a lot of money for it, when you could just teach yourself. But the thing is, people go to university. Why? Because it's a social thing. So that's why people are going to continue to go to high school. Somebody might go, oh, but if you don't make them high school degree, then nobody's going to go to high school. Yeah, people are going to go to high school. People are social beings. They show up at games. They show up at, hillbilly towns. They show up at the Kmart parking lot to show off their engines of their cars and drive around in circles up and down Main Street or whatever. I mean, people like to conglomerate around areas, and high school should be that place. It's not that place. High school is the place where people go because they have to, and then as soon as the bell rings, they're gone. And if you ask a kid why they dropped out of high school, they'll always tell you that, they basically, the dropout rate, it's not a dropout rate, it's a kicked out rate. Kids are getting kicked out of high school. Kids are being told that, because they go to these classes and they're told to do all these things that they don't want to do, they're not interested in. So they don't complete the work. They forget to show up at enough days. You miss more than 15 days out of a certain class, and then you can't get the degree. So then they're told that they're not going to be able to graduate. They're not going to get their diploma unless they go back another year. But they don't want to go back another year because they thought they were going to graduate and get their diploma the year before, and they want to get on with their lives, so they just go, okay, well then I guess I'll drop out or get my GED. So basically, if you just go, okay, there's no such thing as a diploma. You can come here as long or as short as you want. If you don't like school, you know, if you're an antisocial person and you don't want to take part in any education and learn anything, you know, and then that's you, and you can go home and you can be some weird hermit or like get a job at the factory, and you know, and it would be way easier for them to accept their fate that way, because it would be so much more obvious that they were the ones who brought it on themselves for not participating at all, and you know, and they would have enjoyed their adolescence a lot more by being able to do whatever they want. But the fact of the matter is that if you make education really interesting, if you make high school really interesting from the very beginning, all of education, kids are going to go. And with the money that we can conceivably put in education, if we stop spending so much throwing people in jail for smoking weed and throwing people in jail for, well, any of that other drug-related stuff, and all of the 20% of tax money that we spend attacking other countries, and even divert the money that our government puts into universities and just put them into secondary schools. We'll have enough money to invest in stuff that'll make those schools interesting. We'll have just as many sports as kids could possibly be interested in. Every single sport, you could have a team of that sport in there. That would take those kids off to the competitions all over America, their state in America. You can bet they're going to be showing up for school for that. And don't even make them show up to school to be part of the sports team, you know. Just let them do the sports team if that's all they want to do. But I mean, if they show up and they're only for the sports team because they just don't want to learn, well, all their friends in there are going to motivate them to show up and learn, because they're going to be talking about all the cool stuff they learned. Because the other stuff, cool stuff that they should have in schools is invest in all sorts of, you know, like you have science lab. Well, I remember taking science class. In fact, I don't think I officially graduated high school. Like my advisor said something about that, because I had this chemistry teacher who talked me out of dropping out of the chemistry class my senior year because I wasn't getting good enough grades in the tests. But I remember that chemistry class, we did have lab, but it was like a half hour a week. The entire class, it was just a freaking math class. It was the teacher up there going, you know, like doing these configurations, CO2 plus H2O, carry the 2 equals, and I'm just like, what? And then they do some like lab thing, but the lab wasn't even a lab. It was just you like standing around like waiting for the flask to be ready and twiddling your thumbs, and then like the bell rings, you know? Labs are great. We had labs, but not nearly enough. We should have way more labs. Have those things like open all the time where you go in and it's like, you would definitely have good guidelines, you know? I know what you're thinking, oh, it should be, you know, it should be structured. Kids need structure. Well, yeah, give them the structure, but let them follow the structure however they want. You can have the little guidelines of, well, this is what kids usually do at this age, and this is, or have accomplished at this age and stuff. But instead of having grades, it's just like a list of stuff that you've done. You know, it's like, yeah, one cool thing to do is to do all of the scientific experiments. So you would have all of the scientific experiments, and we can afford it to have every single motherfucking scientific experiment in every single school in America. Have the double slit experiment in every single school in America. Kids can do that. And you know, if it's like complicated stuff that you need like some kind of technician dude to like teach him how to do or to interpret, let him in, let him do that, you know? Or bring the old folks from the old folks home over, you know, and then that they could use that as a reason to get into some like, you know, physics department at a university or whatever. There's Russians are doing all sorts of scientific experiments, like having to do with like, I mean, every secondary school should have just as many scientific experiments as the best universities in every single area. Like, you would have these universities doing like you know, splicing, creating organs and stuff. Like high school should be creating organs. It'll cost a little bit more money to buy that stuff, but just manufacture more of it. Stuff only costs money when you first start manufacturing. You're not making a lot of it, but once you start making a lot and mass producing, it becomes cheaper and cheaper to manufacture, and that's totally doable to make it possible to be affordable for all that stuff. And I mean, there's all sorts of really cool scientific experiments, non-locality experiments, you know, creating hybrid animals with radon vaporizers. All the stuff in that book. The field, Lynn. I can't remember her name, but I haven't even read that book. I want to, but all the scientific experiments and all the Russians. David Wilcock has it like memorized, but I wish I wanted to make on my website like the whole list of what the Russians have been doing about scientific experiments, you know, having to do with like pyramids, preserving food, and all that kind of stuff should be in the school. I can't make examples really well right now, so I'm just going to give up on that. But and then as far as like, you know, and then just basically make an educational system the microcosm of the macrocosm of the way the real world is. You would have, make it like you would have, say there's like somebody running for governor in the state. You would have in a high school the guy who's trying to get all the high school kids, and I guess they won't let high school kids vote, but you would have like a mock vote, and you would have like who would win for that, and you would have it displayed on the walls all over the school, on these giant screens on the walls. The walls show like all sorts of data. But anyways, you'd have the guys, and it would also be televised, you know, the guys debating each other on why we should vote for this guy and why we should vote for that guy. And, you know, that would get kids involved in politics that much earlier. And, you know, and when you like want to apply for a job or apply for like a university, you would just everything in the entire school needs to be filmed all the time. Also, every single, and kids wear RFID tags when they go into school. So basically your entire time in school, you're filmed. So if you go, oh yeah, on like Tuesday, I had this great debate. Oh yeah, okay, me Tuesday, boom. And then you have the debate, and then you go, okay, drag and drop into my portfolio. And then you can you send that into the university of where you want to get in, and they can see that little snippet of you doing the debate and the people clapping for you. And then you know, and then, and I mean, every single industry represented in the high school, but and have teachers in there to be facilitators of it, to make sure that they're not breaking the scientific experiments, make sure that everything's in order, and then up there like history teacher, you know, they'd be up there giving the presentation of the history, and kids can go in there and walk in and out of the classroom whenever they want. But the teacher has no say over giving anybody a grade on anything. There's tests on everything, and you know, the more tests you do, the more encouraged you are to do more tests. But you can retake the tests whenever you want, and the teachers are also there basically to just supervise the tests. But you don't even need teachers to do that. You can just do that with video cameras, you know. I'm just like, and then have people. And you know that there's a chance that, you know, if you're suspected of being a cheater, that they're probably going to watch the video of you taking the test. And if you get busted, then, well, that gets on your record. And just kind of like how people check out stuff at the supermarket, you know, they're all trusted to do their own thing. You have the one guy just kind of like making sure it's all going smoothly type of thing. So, you know, you still have teachers up there performing and doing the teaching and tutoring, you know. I mean, if the teachers don't have to be around to like supervise the kids doing all their own stuff, doing like that, they can be you know, tutors for individuals and stuff. But basically, yeah, just get rid of all of the requirements and all that bullshit, you know, and it'd be a lot more fun and people would self-motivate. Anyways, I'm out of time.